I'm Professor Kim Henrichan, and my daughter Jillian is serving as our subject. In this video clip, we're going to be looking at assessing active range of motion of the thumb. The thumb has three joints: the carpometacarpal joint, or the first carpometacarpal joint, also known as the trapeziometacarpal joint. So you need to identify it as the first CMC joint or the TMC joint. It has the metacarpal phalangeal joint, MP, and the interphalangeal joint. The thumb has one IP joint. Measurement of flexion and extension of the MP and the IP is identical to how you measure the MP or the IPs of the digits. Okay. We're going to be looking at opposition, which is a combination of movements of rotation of the first metacarpal with some MP and IP flexion. And we're also going to be looking at TMC joint abduction. We're going to be looking at opposition first. Jillian, I'm going to ask you to bring your thumb across your palm as far as you can go. There are numerous ways to measure this. Okay, we're going to be going by the recommendation of the American Society of Hand Therapists that recommends that you look at the IP of the thumb to the to the distal palmar crease at the level of the third metacarpal. So with full opposition, usually you can't even get your goniometer in there, and it would be 0, and that would be normal. Okay. If she could only oppose, say, this far, we would be measuring distal palmar crease at the level of the third metacarpal to the IP joint. And in this case, that would be a distance of 4 centimeters. The other thing you can do is give a number to different areas on the fingers to where the thumb can land. If she can oppose to here, the index MP, that would be a 1. The index PIP would be a 2. The index DIP would be a 3. Tip to tip, thumb and index would be a 4. Tip to tip with the middle finger, a 5. Tip to tip with the ring finger, a 6. Tip to tip with the pinky finger, a 7. And we work our way down the pinky. 8 for the IP, 9 for the PIP, 10 for the MP, so that you have an arc 1 through 10. So you have a simple number, 1/10, for how much opposition you can have. So that's 2 different ways of measuring opposition of the thumb. Now we're going to look at palmar and radial abduction of the TMC joint. This motion here, abducting away from the index finger in the plane of the palm, going volarly, is palmar abduction. This is a measure of the first metacarpal coming away from the second metacarpal. So that is what we're going to be looking at. And you can do that by putting the goniometer axis at the TMC joint. You can align your stationary arm with the ulna. And then Jillian, I'm going to have you bring your thumb out. And we measure just to the MP of the thumb to get our alignment. You do not line up the movable arm of the goniometer with the tip of the thumb, because she could hyperextend her IP, and that's really not the same alignment of that first metacarpal. So as you're lining up, only look at the goniometer line through the first metacarpal. And I get an angle of, it's upside down, I'm going to flip it over, 50 degrees. You can also, as an alternative, line up the proximal, the stationary arm of the goniometer with the second metacarpal and have them do the same motion. I'm going to have you bring your thumb out. Same alignment for the movable arm, and for that angle, I get 40 degrees. Slightly different angle, so important to document which way you have measured it so that for reassessment you measure the same way. Our last motion will be radial abduction of the thumb, which can be measured identically to palmar abduction of the thumb. For this, the client will be asked to pronate completely and put their hand flat on the table. Starting position, complete adduction. Axis on the TMC joint. Stationary arm in alignment with the ulna. Ask the client to radially abduct the thumb. Movable arm in alignment with the first metacarpal. Her radial abduction in this position is 55 degrees. You could also, again, start in this position. Axis at the TMC joint. Movable arm in alignment with the second metacarpal. Ask you to spread your thumb out in alignment and a 50-degree angle. In terms of measuring adduction of the first metacarpal will never be 0, okay? She's completely adducted right now, whether it's palmarly or radially, and there's still going to be a little bit of an angle there. They don't come to a complete straight 0. So her adduction, even though it's normal, I'm getting a measurement angle of 20 degrees. I would not call that negative 20. A negative usually indicates a lack of motion, and she's not lacking any motion there. You could also look at the way we measured abduction and adduction of the 4 digits. You could do the distance between the thumb, and in this case it would have to be the PIP of the index, and if it's no measurement, we know that she's completely adducted the thumb. So the thumb is a little bit more complex in measurement because of its rotational ability that the other digits do not have. But with a little practice, you will get that. Always remember, you're measuring the angle of the 2 bones and line up with those 2 bones, and you won't go wrong. Thank you.